Our weekly immigration news roundup is brought to you by the law firm of Figueroa and Associates. For consultation on any immigration or legal matter, please call 855-768-8845. That's 855-768-8845. For full stories and more immigration news, visit www.theimmigrantsjournal.com. That's www.theimmigrantsjournal.com.
Hello, my name is Mary Campbell, legal assistant at the law firm of Figueroa and Associates, and your presenter with this week's immigration news. We begin with Biden's new changes to the asylum process. On June 4, President Biden issued a sweeping order under Section 212 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, claiming that allows him to suspend the entry of most migrants who cross the border between ports of entry, echoing a similar order issued by President Trump in November 2018. Like the Trump action in 2018, Biden's new order came along with a simultaneous regulation, which went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on June 5, banning asylum to nearly all people who cross the border between ports of entry, while this new suspension remains in effect. Importantly, U.S. law provides that all people can seek asylum, regardless of how they enter the country. In a speech at the White House, Biden justified punishing people who did not access asylum through means the administration has created at ports of entry, arguing that it was the only way to limit pressure on an overwhelmed asylum system. President Biden's proclamation on National Immigrant Heritage Month. America is the only country in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. We are home to people whose ancestors have been here for thousands of years and home to people from every place on earth. Some people came freely, some came chained by force, some came when famine struck or to flee persecution, and some came to chase dreams that are only possible here in America. We all come from somewhere, but we are all Americans. This month, we honor the contributions and celebrate the remarkable courage of our nation's immigrants, whose hopes and dreams helped found this country and continue to push us forward today. Meanwhile, in New York, Governor Hochul speaks on the asylum seekers in NY. According to Hochul, the state of New York has also had to provide resources to house these individuals, get them legal services, and try to get them into jobs. We have a lot of people who come looking for a better life. We're trying to manage this scale. I think this today is important to give us some breathing room. Congress is the only entity that can allocate the dollars. That's why Republicans are so disingenuous. When members of Congress or people who listened to Donald Trump, when there was a viable plan on the table, you have no right to complain right now. You have no moral authority on this one because you refuse to do your jobs. Number of unrepresented people in NYC immigration courts marks 18-year high. In the past 2 years, about 200,000 migrants have arrived in New York City, many of whom have defensive asylum cases after submitting themselves at the border. But an exclusive analysis of data from the Executive Office for Immigration Review, EOIR, data shows that in 2023, roughly half of all immigrants appearing in the New York City's largest immigration court at 26 Federal Plaza were unrepresented, with more unrepresented individuals in 2023 than the previous 5 years combined. The number tripled from 2021 to 2022 alone. The analysis was documented by Mobile Pathways, a tech nonprofit advancing equitable immigration access and support for underserved immigrants and partner nonprofits. The analysis also shows that between 2022 and 2023, 55,039 immigrants with hearings at Federal Plaza lacked legal representation. Advocates rally for continued support of NYC immigrant student and early childhood programs. On Thursday, June 6, the New York Immigration Coalition, NYC, elected officials, member organizations, allies, parents, students, and immigrant New Yorkers rallied and held a press conference on the Tweed Courthouse steps. Advocates rallied to make New York's public schools more accessible and equitable for immigrant youth and families, including for asylum seekers. For FY25, the city must invest $25 million in Promise NYC for childcare for immigrant families, $4 million for the Immigrant Family Communication and Outreach Initiative for New York City Public Schools communication with parents who speak languages other than English, $800,000 to increase the number of high schools well prepared to teach and support immigrant and recently arrived asylum seeker youth. In other news, USCIS issues guidance on in-person filing for certain SIJ petitioners. USCIS is updating its policy manual to provide clarity on the filing process for certain petitioners seeking special immigrant juvenile SIJ classification. For those petitioners or their representatives who have less than 2 weeks before their 21st birthday, USCIS is introducing the option to file Form I-360, Petition for Amerasian, Widower, or Special Immigrant, in person at a USCIS field office instead of via mail. If your 21st birthday is beyond the 2-week threshold, you must adhere to the current filing instructions, which entail mailing Form I-360. More wrist-worn GPS devices being issued to track asylum seekers. A new, lighter GPS device that resembles a wristwatch to track migrants is being issued by immigration courts more frequently. The VeriWatch system, administered by U.S. Immigration and Customs and Enforcement officers, has gone from a pilot project of just 50 participants to nearly 3,000 issued in just the past year, according to new data from Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse, TRAC, of Syracuse University. The number of these wrist-worn devices issued pales to the 155,000 currently issued Smart INK smartphone applications that track migrants nationwide. However, the TRAC data shows a new trend emerging by the courts, especially those in South Texas, to issue this new tracking technology. Nearly 500 of these wrist devices have been issued by U.S. immigration courts in Harlingen, Texas, TRAC reports. The numbers issued nationwide have jumped over 800 since the beginning of May. And finally, Borderland. The Line Within takes viewers through CBP's raid on a humanitarian aid camp. Borderland. The Line Within, a documentary directed by Pamela Yates and produced by Skylight Pictures, made its theatrical debut on May 3. Borderland takes viewers through a gripping narrative of how immigration enforcement agencies, from the U.S.-Mexico border to places well within our nation's interior, have created what the film calls the border industrial complex, a system that transforms the suffering of immigrant lives into corporate profit. The producers of the film included footage from a raid that U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, carried out on a humanitarian aid camp set up in the Arizona desert that provided water and shelter to migrants crossing the border. Thank you.
Our weekly immigration news roundup is brought to you by the law firm of Figueroa and Associates. For consultation on any immigration or legal matter, please call 855-768-8845. That's 855-768-8845. For full stories and more immigration news, visit www.theimmigrantsjournal.com. That's www.theimmigrantsjournal.com.